All right. I'm gonna jump right into it. Obviously, you can see who's on the screen right now. We have two guests this morning for Bite Down Boxing. Please check me out at bitedownboxing.com. My name is Wood. Welcome to the show, Team Freeway Boxing, Ricky Ross, and one of his five fighters, VeShawn Champion, who's actually from my home city here in Dayton, Ohio. So he's on the show to get some shine and start talking about what's going on with him. But I do want to start with you, Ricky Ross. Um, Ironically, I was at a fight in Dearborn, Michigan, in like 20 at the end of 2019, I believe, and I was covering the fight, taking photographs, and you walked by a couple of times, and I'm like, that's that's Ricky Ross. And I'm like, what is this brother doing in Dearborn, Michigan? You know, at a car. And then I think last year, you know, I caught you on another partner of mine, Junior the Truth YouTube channel with Tiger Johnson, you know, and you were talking about working with him. And now here it is in 2022 and Team Freeway Boxing is rolling out. So it's all been building to that. But when I saw you, was that kind of the early planning for this new venture?
Well, this really started when I was in prison. Um, if you if anybody read the article that they did on me in LA Magazine when they wrote my obituary, uh, one of the things that I talked about was getting into boxing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this has been I don't know, you know, and when I look back at that article, I noticed that might have been my business plan. That I didn't have it wrote out; it was wrote in my head because you know I'm not really a person that can put the pen to the paper as well as some people. But what I do is I put things in my mind and I hold them there.
Okay. Okay. So once you did start kind of you know making hanging around and making your rounds to boxing circles and gathering information and making notes, mental notes, and putting things together, um what started standing out to you as a way to get you know as this was an idea of yours but now let me actually do it? What were some things that started uh appealing
Well,
being you know being appealing?
I saw how boxers were so uneducated about business. Um, when I worked with quite a few boxers in my short career, but I noticed they know absolutely nothing about how to do business, and I felt that I could bring something to the table for them that could really help them.
Okay. I see Tiger is actually fighting tonight, like on ESPN. I did mention that that's one of the fighters I saw you involved with last year. Did you guys decide to go in different directions, or is it still a relationship with Tiger as he goes on with Top Rank?
Well, you know, it's funny about these boxing guys. They if they can't do what they're supposed to do, they just stop taking your phone call. So I haven't spoke to Tiger in about
Right.
2 years. Uh, but it seems, you know, it seems just a normal way that they do business. You know, that they don't have. Uh, I don't know. The same thing just happened the other day with Saul Rodriguez. You know, I've been working with Saul since he was 16, and I got a call a couple weeks ago, and they were shopping his name around for the Ryan Garcia fight, and I called and told him that they were going to be approaching him about the Ryan Garcia fight, and me and him had been talking about him signing with me for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden, just no more phone calls. You know, he just stopped answering my calls, and it seems that that's a normal with these guys in boxing. Uh, they just don't have that sense and understanding about how
Professionalism.
important it is to continue a conversation.
So before I get into Team Freeway Boxing a little bit more, I sit and I listen to a lot of stuff on YouTube, and a lot of the YouTubers, my colleagues, I guess, you know, it's so much hatred and criticism thrown towards promoters and the businessmen, and I'm like, man, it's a lot of bad actors on both sides of this thing. Like it's not just the promoters, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Boxers are some of the worst business people that you can ever deal with. You know, I've dealt with a couple guys who haven't even had belts, and you know, you can bring them ideas, and if they don't understand the idea, then they won't even entertain it.
One of the things in the article that I was reading yesterday was talking about well, let me make this statement first. You know, I just want to salute you, man. I know I get in trouble with a lot of brothers because I'm not the biggest fan of all of this, the black empowerment, black excellence, black whatever, black owned, and it's a lot of guys talking that, but really aren't offering any opportunities. So what I see here with you signing these 5 fighters, throwing your hat into the ring and providing opportunities, I'm behind that. Like this is it's 2022. It's too much capability, it's too many resources out here, too many people that can do things, and it's just people talking all the time. So I commend you in getting involved.
you, me and you, hey, we got something in common already. I like that. I like that. And you're absolutely correct. And that's one of the times that I don't really, you know, like a lot of these websites you go on there and and these are just people talking. You know, they don't do any studying. They don't do any reading. You know, with me, I couldn't read at one time. So that was my problem. And what I found out is that not being able to read uh, uh, limited my resources or my capabilities of expanding my knowledge. But when I went to prison, you know, I taught myself how to read while I was here. I read over 300 books. So when people are dealing with me, they may think that that they're dealing with a guy that, you know, because I grew up in South Central LA, I didn't graduate from high school, that I'm an ignorant guy. But what I was able to do was take my past experiences and wedge that with over 300 books that I read while I was in prison.
Okay. What might have been the favorite title that you read? One that's paying dividends now in what you're trying to do.
Ask VeShawn that question. VeShawn, what's my favorite books?
The one of the books that he told me to read was As a Man Think. I think that's probably, as of right now, that's my favorite book that I read so far. I only read 2 books that he put me on, but I'm halfway through with the other one.
Okay.
But the other one was The Richest Man in Babylon. I like that book too, but I ain't finished with it yet, so I don't know which one to pick between the two. But yeah,
Okay.
those 2 books I read so far. He gave me 3 books, so I ain't remember the third title yet, but
Okay. Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
those 2 books is yeah.
And the reason I do that, and the reason I ask my guys, you know, I can't make them read anything. I can't make these guys do anything, but they all grown men. But what I want to do is I want these guys to expand their knowledge. I want them to understand that the world is bigger than just their community, that it's more out here than just a Bentley, you know, a piece of gold change, and that anybody can get those things. Those are only material things, and they can always be gotten at any time if you're thinking right. And that's one of the things that I'm really working with my guys. You know, the boxing part, I don't even know the boxing part. You know, I ain't gonna get in the ring with them. I ain't gonna hold no mitts. I ain't gonna tell them how to throw no punch. But what I want to do is teach them how to think.
Hey, that's a great start. One thing that I read that stood out to me in the article that I saw was, you know, you said you had the right mindset in approaching this, and then you know the mentoring was going to be there. You had a real concern for the person. Here you are trying to, you know, put some different things in the mind of VeShawn. But again, back to the opportunity thing. Like guys got to be able to earn a living, eat, and pursue what they want to achieve in this game. Just titles, you know, along with the big
If
person.
a guy got to fight to make a living, there's something's wrong with him. You know, I've never threw a punch in my life. Well, let me take that back. Because when I was a kid, I used to fight all the time. But as an adult, I haven't threw a punch. I haven't taken a punch, and I do pretty good for myself. You know, right now I'm working on a marijuana grow that's going to make me close to $1.5 million every month. You know, if I don't get out of bed, you know, it's going to make me money. I also won a dispensary license here in LA that that's going to be making me about $200,000 a month. So you add those up, you're talking about I'll be making roughly about $1.6 million every month if I get out of bed, or if I'm in Europe, or if I'm anywhere in the world. And I did all that and you know, people say you got to have money to make money. When I got out of prison, I had $200 in my pocket. So
what am I not doing right with my life? But okay. But what's gonna be the strategy?
You ain't read them 3 books. Hey, you ain't read them 3 books.
I'm gonna come back and watch this so I can get going in the right direction. Definitely. I'm taking notes though. But what's going to be the strategy for Team Freeway Boxing? You know, with getting the fighters work. Will it be some of like the club shows that I saw you at up in Dearborn? Will it be trying to get on the undercards or working with some of the promoters who control all of the TV fights, or will you be creating like your own freeway boxing series for you guys?
Well, my guys, they're basically free agents. They're going to have their leisure to do and go anywhere that they want to go. My job is just to advise them. I'm not their owner. You know, I'm not like a lot of these promoters and these guys who think that they own the fighters and that the fighters are supposed to do what they say do. My guys are going to have an option. You know, they can go and fight at club fights, or they can go and fight. PBC's already been calling about giving them fights. Top Rank's already calling about offering my guys fights. But you know, the top guys are going to fight my guys. They're going to see my guys, you know, making millions of dollars outside of the ring, and people are not going to like it. You know, people are not going to like seeing them all over billboards and, you know, some of the top music artists hanging out with them. They're not going to like that, so they're going to want to fight them. They're going to want to show people that they're not as good as I say they are, or they think they are.
Okay. Don't worry, VeShawn. I'm coming to you here shortly, man. I'm just trying to move through the interview, but just hold on. One thing that you just touched on, Ricky, was do you think it's a difference between boxing promotion and self-promotion? You know, again, there seems
Absolutely.
to be with what we see going on with Jake Paul's situation. It's like I see people just saying, well, these fighters can go out here and do all this stuff on their own. But you just talked about some of the poor business acumen of some of these fighters, and then kind of like questionable thinking. So is there a difference between boxing promotion and self-promotion?
Well, I think that they go hand in hand, really. I mean, you have to promote yourself in whatever field that you're going into. You know, you can't think that your promoter is going to promote you when he has 200 fighters. So you have to take some of that emphasis up on yourself and get out there and push yourself. And I love what Jake Paul is doing. I'll be honest with you. I think that he's really showing these boxers what they should have been doing all their life.
So would that be part of you? Like you just said, you were already giving some books to VeShawn to read and expand his mind. Is that going to be an area that you think that you can help the fighters out with that self promotion?
Oh yeah, we got an internet team. You know, it's going to help them with their social media. We got PR. We got the lawyer. I mean, what we're doing is we're giving these guys all the things that they do. You know, these guys do contracts. A lot of these guys have done contracts without a lawyer standing there, and most of these guys, I bet you, can't even read. So they literally sign contracts that they don't even know what they signed, some of them.
Wow. I've tried to mention that before, that, you know, you catch some of these
we
guys.
already know. And we already know, if you go with statistics, 65% of the men in prison couldn't read. And then you take another 20% of those who could read but can't comprehend what they read. So when you look at that, I've done contracts. I've done $1 million contracts and never read the paper. I hand the paper to my homeboy and asked him to read it and tell me, was it a good contract? and I don't know if he could read. You know, I never asked him could he read because we both went to the same school. You know understand what I'm saying? So, and then I know that he can't do business like me because he never did. So when you take all that into consideration, you got to say, man, what's been going on with these dudes? Why are they like that? Why wind up as soon as boxing over broke?
Gotcha. One other thing I was wondering, do you see streaming or social media as an opportunity that might start to take off again for the club shows or the smaller fights? It seems
Absolutely.
it seems like pre-COVID, it seemed like a lot of momentum was building for a lot of different like smaller companies that I saw film crews at club shows, and it was really picking up. But now, you know, obviously, you know, the pandemic disrupted a lot of that. But do you think that's an area where you might be able to showcase your fight?
I already got my own streaming. I already got my own streaming channel. We only streamed 2 fights though. So for the problem that I had is that my camera crew needed some more touching up, and we needed some better cameras. So what I'm doing is I'll build my fighters up first, and then once we do that, because even with the streaming services, I see areas where they don't know how to promote themselves the way that I think that they should be promoting themselves. And I'm gonna, you know, I'm kind of like what they call a revolutionary. You know, when I go into business, I revolutionize it. I take all of those old ideas. I look for the holes. I look for the people that are not doing things the right way, and I try to replace those with better and more efficient ideas.
I love what I'm hearing.
And that's the same thing I'm doing with my fighters. You know, I'm doing the same thing with VeShawn. You know, I'm gonna get his career to where he's gonna be functioning at a higher level than he ever functioned at. That's my job, is to help him function at a higher level than he ever functioned in, and not just in the boxing ring, but that is one area of the place. Because if your personal life is not right, you know, if you don't have the financial backing that you need, if you can't go out and train every day and do your running, if you don't have a conditioning coach, you know, a dietitian, then all those things may be off when you start doing your training. So all those things have to be taken care of, and those are the things that, you know, that I'll be working with, helping him get on track.
Man, I was just trying to say
he's definitely gonna be a world champ.
100%.
I'd like to hear that. One more question. Along with you know, another key member or a key teammate in this venture, Team Freeway Boxing, is Rick Glaser. You know, I see him online. You know, he's kind of a polarizing figure. I don't always agree with everything that he says, but the role is I hear out. Not, regardless if I don't want to hear what you're talking about or not, I'm gonna hear you out because it's something in there that I'm gonna find useful. So I don't really dislike Rick. You know, I just disagree with some things that he says. But what about him made him a good fit for what you're trying to do?
Well, I don't really know boxing. You know, I signed a guy one time. I don't know if you probably heard of him, Chris Ludgeway.
Okay.
And you know, he just came up to me one day. I was at my car lot and I was working on cars, and he was like, "Hey, Unc." And I looked up and it was this big old guy, about 6'5" and about 300 pounds. He said, "Man, I'm a boxer." And I said, "Oh yeah?" He said, "I need some help though." And he was 6'0". And I said, "Well, what kind of help you need?" He said, "Well, I'm going over to Mexico and I'm doing these fights, and I need somebody to help me with the financing." And I jumped in bed with him, you know, not knowing what kind of fighter he was, if he could fight or not. And you know, I helped him get to 19-0. So I really didn't know what I was doing though. I was learning it as I went. So what I found out is that I have to know how to pick good fighters. And Rick Glaser, you know, I mean, they should have never let me get Rick Glaser. Having Rick Glaser on my team is like giving me kryptonite and I'm fighting with a Superman. So there's no way that I don't see myself being the best guy to ever do boxing. And I know we have some great people. You know, Don King is one of my heroes, and I think Al Heyman has done a super job at what he did. But my business acumen is just so superior to the way most people do business. You know, they literally let me almost. When I finish my marijuana grow, I'll be probably the biggest black grower in the United States. And I got out of prison 13 years ago. I had $200 when I got out of prison. I'm finna venture into the music business. It's just, you know, it's just so many things that I've taken these same skills. And I don't like to talk about, you know, what I did in cocaine, you know, because I don't like to glorify that. But when you look at my record, I start off with $125 and I turned that into $3 million a day. If I would have been running a normal business and it wouldn't have been interrupted by me having my own personal task force where the city of Los Angeles put together 7 of the top police stations in the state to stop me. And I still made money even with that 35 cops chasing me every single day. I still was able to sell cocaine. So when I looked at my life, I said, well, what if you did something that you didn't have to hide? Something that everybody in the world could know that you're doing. And boxing is just one of them. So these games are mine. You know, boxing is going to be my game. It might not be next year. It may not be the year after that. But in a few years, I will be the number one name in boxing. I'm going to treat fighters like none of these other guys know how to treat them. And Tiger wasn't the only one. I also talked to Keyshawn Davis. I was talking to Keyshawn Davis. I was talking to Joseph Hicks. It was about 5 of those guys that I talked to. And I tried to show them how to market themselves. You know, we did some interviews together, but they just wasn't there, you know, mentally. They thought that it had to be somebody like Al Heyman or Bob Arum that they had to work with. And what they didn't understand is that those guys are old school and it's a new age, you know. And I think that, like you said, Jake Paul has shown everybody that that old way of doing business is not the way anymore.
Right. Now,
I mean, it's guys. How many guys, you know, in boxing got a book out?
not many. Not many.
All my guys will have their own book. All of them will have their own book. You know, I got my own book publishing company. You know, I got my own book publishing company. They're my first 2 books. I'm working on my 3rd book right now. And those books just keep selling. You know, I don't even have to do nothing. People just go on the internet and buy them. And that's the kind of money that the guys need to know. This T-shirt right here. You know, my man, I met this billionaire the other day. I got an award for Lifetime Achievement Award last Saturday. And this billionaire walked up to me and he said, the way to do business is do the work one time and get paid forever.
Let me jot that one down too. So what has been Rick Glaser's insight? What's been what's paid off the most from his insight as you've been putting together, you know, your roster?
VeShawn, he brought VeShawn to me. He introduced us. He told me to sign. He said, sign this kid. He said, this kid is going to be a world champ. Sign him.
Let's move
And
on. That's perfect segue
we
to
did
get
it.
into the 6'1", 23 years old, out of Dayton, Ohio. Southpaw has here that, you know, you have a lot of boxing skills and then good ring IQ. 2-0, 1 knockout. Everything sounds great, man. Like I said, I wasn't aware of you, but what's been going on with VeShawn Champion?
Man, I just been training to. I'm supposed to fight here. We got a date like late March. I can't tell you the date yet though, because it ain't secured. But that's a potential date. But I just been training, staying in shape. You probably didn't hear about me because I don't got the amateur background like Keyshawn Davis or Tiger Johnson. But I got the heart and I got the mindset, and mix that together with skills. That's like what they call it, atomic bomb. And I'm explosive. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm a very confident fighter for sure. I went down to Philadelphia. I think it was last month, December. I went down there, worked with him, Bozy and Ryan, and I sparred Ryan. We did 2 rounds. They do 4-minute rounds, so my ass when I first started sparring, I'm thinking it's 3 minutes, and I look back, I'm like, oh, so we got a minute left. It was a hell of an experience though, sparring with somebody like that with that caliber of experience, and his style is very, it's flamboyant. You don't know what's going on, so I had to adjust very well to him. Um, I opened up their eyes. They like what they saw, and I'm gonna go back down there and train with them again. But me, if you want to know about me, I grew up in you familiar with the area. I grew up in the Main Street area around Fairview,
Okay.
so I've been around town. So I've been around. I went to high school in West Carrollton, and I played basketball, football, ran track. So I started boxing at 19. I ain't started boxing until I was 19. And so I got a young amateur background. I ain't been there that long. But like I said, I'm confident. I'm confident in my skills, and I got balls. Rick Glaser will tell you that. He said all the time. He said the reason why he wanted to sign me because I got balls. I don't give a fuck. If you hit me hard, I'm gonna hit you back the same power or even harder. So but yeah, my background though, 2 years ago I was about to quit. I have to be honest with you. I was about to just quit. I got a daughter. 2 years ago she was 1, so that was I was in bad times. Sleeping in my car. It was in the wintertime, and I was working 2 jobs, still sleeping in cars. Like, damn, like dude, you working 2 jobs, sleeping in the car where you ain't getting nowhere. You know what I mean? And then my birthday had passed, and I was like, I gotta do something, and I ended up getting back into the sport. And I got back into the gym in Centerville. It's called DMC. I went there to train with them, and they got me 4 fights, 4 amateur fights. Dayton, we ain't a big boxing city, so
Exactly.
we get the fights when they invite us to the fight. So yeah, I got four more amateur fights, and three out of 4 of them, they all ended up in either a TKO or a knockout. One dude, I knocked him out. He was out cold for a good 5 minutes. So yeah,
Okay.
then end up turning pro in July 17th, my pro debut last year. It was in Iowa. Ended up fighting this dude. His name is Andres Borregos. He was from Colorado, so him being from Colorado, in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's gonna be in shape. Then high altitude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He deal with different climax, so you know what I mean. And he had 300 amateur fights. We didn't know that at the time though, so that was part of the business aspect about it. We
Right.
just going in there nose first, not even thinking about it. And I was such in a rush. Like I'm 20. At that time I was 22, so I'm like, I need to fight. I need to turn pro before it gets too late or I burn myself out. Let's turn pro. So we turned pro. Fought him. I beat him a majority decision. And after we got out the ring, he was telling me, "Yeah, man, I got 300 amateur fights. I beat Ryan Garcia, fought Devin Haney." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like
Right.
it was like eye opener. Like, I just beat somebody with 300 amateur fights. The amateur background don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's gonna be you versus me, not me versus 300 people. You feel me? So that's
Gotcha.
how I look at it every time. Whoever I spar, whoever I fight against, experience don't mean nothing. Experience ain't shit, but knowledge. But knowledge can get stopped when you get punched in the face. That's like having a book and say, "Here's a book. Let's throw it in the fire. Let's see how long that book gonna last." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It
I
just
hear you.
burn
I hear you.
quick. Yeah. So go ahead. My fault. You was about to say something.
Just with one fight in Iowa. Where was the second fight?
Second fight was in Washington D.C., the capital. That's
Okay.
the fight. That's the fight that probably like was my turning point. Um, we took the fight in 5 days. It was a 5 day notice. If you want to be technical, it was really I had 3 days to get ready for it because on Thursday we had to I pack our stuff and hit the road and get down there. So on Thursday we drove down there. Had to get my blood work done, so I really didn't have time to work at all. And it was supposed to be at 147, but we had to fight at 154 because I told them in order to do it, we have to do it at 154 because I'm at 158. I'm not cutting 11 pounds in 3 days. I'm not doing that. And, so we ended up fighting 154. The dude, he thought it was about to be cakewalk. Like if you go back and look up my name, you'll see the weigh-ins, and he had a smirk on his face, and I took it personal. I'm like, bro, I ain't no chump, bro. Like you really walked in something different. You know what I mean? Yeah. 'Cause he was 5-0. He was 5-0. He had 2 knockouts, and he was 5'10", so I had the height advantage on him. And I already was pissed because not everybody in my corner was mad at me because I was supposed, before we left from Ohio, I was supposed to get my drug test done. And not drug test, it was a blood test.
Okay.
I was supposed to get my blood test done, but the same day it was my daughter's birthday. So it was a lot going on at once. And I had my baby mom in my ear, I had my manager in my ear, my coach in my ear. I was like, bro, at this point right now, it's my daughter's day. I said, tomorrow when we get to DC, I'll take the blood work. So we ended up going down to DC, did the weigh-ins, and he had somebody that was with the money team there, and that, I guess that boosted up his ego. They hyped him up like, oh, it's go time, he don't know what he done did. And in my head, I'm like, it's the other way around. You don't know what you done did, dog. So
Right.
the fight day, on the fight day, I came in. So my coach Sam, he put me in like a dark place. Like really was getting in my head, like, dude, don't know what you been through. He ain't never slept in the car like you did. He ain't been what you into, you know what I'm saying? So Sam thought I was possessed for a second. He asked me if I was still there. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to work. So me and I'll walk you through the fight. First round, it was opened up. I was opened up on him. It was more a strategic fight at that point. You know what I mean? I was using my jab. I was using my skills, and he couldn't really beat my style. And then the second round came along. And I told you I really wasn't training that much. Like I was training, but it wasn't like a full count. I started feeling my legs like, oh shit, it's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So I came back in the corner, and then Sam was like, hey, you lost that round. And when he told me that, I'm like, damn, you ain't lying. And I was like, my fault. This is my exact words. I told him, I said, my fault, y'all. I'm about to get him out of here. So as soon as that bell rang, I hit him with you know how Canelo throw his face and he'll like throw it out like that?
Right.
I threw that with my left hand, and he opened up so much. I hit him with an uppercut, stunning. Then after that, like, I knew it was over because I'm like, he ain't like that shot, so he ain't there for real. So I hit him with another left hook, and then another left hook, and after that, hit him with a couple straights, and he ain't had no more legs. The ref didn't want to stop it because the ref knew when he walked in the ring, the ref talking to him, dapping up his coach.
Right.
I'm like, damn, y'all got to set me up.
Right.
And because the ref wasn't trying to break us, like we was wrestling the whole time. Like, bro, I'm not trying to wrestle, I'm trying to hit with you. But yeah, the ref wasn't trying to break it. The doctor had to end up like pointing at the commissioner, like, hey man, stop this fight. Because if he ain't stopped it, I ain't gonna lie, I probably killed him. Because shoot, it ain't my fault. You signed up for it. I'm here to kill. Like, I'm not here to play around with you.
Yeah, everybody has to do their job on fight night.
Yeah, you know,
referee, fighters, corners.
Because at the end of the day, you trying to kill me. So,
Who is some influences to your style, Sean?
I couldn't hear you.
Who would you say are the influences of your style? What other boxers?
So I watch a lot of Jerron Ennis because at one point in time I had to use my left hand because I had hurt my my right hand, so I used my left hand a lot. So I had to learn how to fight southpaw so I could continue training. But not southpaw, orthodox, my fault. So I do switch up when it's necessary, or I'll switch up just to mess with their brain. You know what I mean? So I watch Jerron Ennis a lot. Lomachenko, I watch Lomachenko hella because he's very smart. He's technical. He takes angles very well. And you'll see that in my next fight, me take angles, especially if I end up fighting an orthodox fighter, because they're very easy to take angles on. Who else? Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, a lot of people, Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Your name Roy Jones, because I like their stuff. You mix them up, that's scary. You know what I'm saying? That's very scary. So that's who I like tend my style too.
Okay. So how do you, like you already mentioned, Dayton, Ohio is not a hotbed for boxing. We have a couple guys. I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Pearson.
Yeah, that's
out
my
of Trotwood. Jeff Camp just left the city, I guess, to go out to Vegas to try to restart his career.
He back home. He wanted to spar the other day.
Oh, okay. I was kind of letting him do what he doing. I know he trying to get himself back in the ring and everything. So I was kind of trying to stay out of his ear a little bit to let him, let him get going again and then reconnect with him. So that's cool. What's been your motivation? I mean, boxing is it's a tough business.
Yeah.
Like you said, you out here risking a lot when you go out of state. You don't know it's treacherous out here. And if you don't have a Glaser and now Rick Ross behind you, it's a lot of pitfalls out there. So how have you maintained?
Yeah, he ain't gonna be taking no more. He ain't gonna be taking no more fights in those 5 days. You can believe that.
Okay,
we turned down a fight with PBC. We turned down a fight with PBC for the 5th. He could have fought on that card on the 5th, but they only gave him a 3-week notice, and I told him that we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna treat us like we're beef-side fighters. This guy's gonna be a world champ, and you're gonna treat him like a world champ, or you ain't gonna treat him at all.
So how have you stayed motivated up until now? And then what does this mean for you to be a part of Team Freeway Boxing and have more security, in your career?
So basically the way I stay motivated, I don't fight for myself. You know what I mean? Like a lot of fighters, some fighters fight for themselves, some fighters fight for other reasons. My cousin, he was 16, he was diagnosed with cancer when he was 14. So he had told me one day he was in the hospital at Children's. He was like, he said, I always wanted to box, man. He said, you motivate me, so when I get out of here, I want to start training with you. But he ended up not being his battle with cancer. He died at 16, and till this day, like I fight for him. He continued to fight through me, so he's one of my motivations. My grandfather, he just passed. He just passed at the beginning of this year. He had a disease that was eating up his muscles and stuff, and I was his caretaker. It was my job, I was getting paid to take care of my papa, and I lived under the same roof with him. So he's my motivation. He used to always be on my ass. If I grab some ramen noodles, he'd be like, "What are you doing, grandson?" I'm like, "Papa, I'm not in camp." He said, "Man, you always in camp. Put them noodles down." You know what I mean? He'll always be on my tail about it.
So you always in camp. I like that.
So that's my motivation.
Yeah.
My little girl. So yeah, my little girl. That's my main motivation because I want her to live a better life than I got to live.
Okay. And then, like I said, what's been the thoughts on having this greater sense of security when you have experienced people in your background, and then someone who's giving you the tutelage, person wise and maturity wise that Rick is bringing to the table, Rick Ross.
Yeah.
And then you have Rick Glaser with his boxing background. What's that meant for you?
Well, basically, when they first introduced me to Rick Ross, my old manager, her name was Elizabeth. She was like, "You know Rick Ross?" I'm like, "The rapper," and she was like, "Nah, Freeway Rick Ross." I said, "Nah, I don't. I'm young. I wasn't. I'm not. Right. I ain't never been into the drug game, so I wasn't, into. I didn't know what was going on. So I looked into him. Like, okay, I'm interested. So they ended up getting Rick Glaser on the phone, and after that, we ended up getting on the phone with Rick Ross. And then after we got off the phone at night, I started watching interviews, everything, all his Vlad TV interviews. I still watch him to this day while I'm at work. So, yeah, definitely. Like one of my favorite things about him was when he was saying he was very he was illiterate with words and he couldn't read, and him going to like the law library and gaining all that information and telling the judge like he'll be back, and him coming back and beating his case off of his knowledge that he gained off of those books. It was like, if he can do that, like you can beat life in prison, in federal prison, you can beat anything in this world. You know what I mean? So coming into the boxing game, knowledge like that, it's gonna really change the game. And like you said, he's gonna have multiple Floyd Mayweathers, and I'm gonna be one of them. I'm gonna be better than Floyd, though. I ain't gonna compare myself to nobody. But yeah, he's gonna have multiple Floyds.
Okay. We got a question in the chat from my man Damian Adams out in Arizona. I believe that's where Damian is. And what's good, DA? But he asked, is there a timeline that you are on to get a world title shot? Seems like boxers are getting those shots earlier in their careers now. That's to either one of y'all who want to weigh in on
that. I go first. Me right now, I got 2 fights. So once I get at least, I say 15 fights. That's a comfortable record enough for me. Be 15-0. shoot, why not? I'm here to fight the best. I ain't here to pity pat like most of these fighters are here to do. You know, they ducking and dodging fighters. Like one fighter that I like him as a person because he's a cool person, but as a fighter, I don't like him as a fighter because he's making a bad name for us. It's Ryan Garcia, you know. You know what I'm saying? You keep calling out all these big names, and then when it's time to come to fight, you get hurt or something happens. Like, come on, bro, stop doing that. Cause that's you just being a little chihuahua barking up in a pit bull's pound. Like, don't do that. You know what I mean? You can't do that. Don't talk that big boy stuff when you ain't ready for it. And me personally, I'm willing to die for my respect. So that means I'm willing to die in the ring. So I don't care who it is. You can put me in front of anybody. Like if it had to be, you know what I'm saying? Because eventually, you know, Ryan is gonna be a champion, and I'm gonna have to be the contender. We're gonna have to duke it out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's part of the game. It's boxing. This is what the sport that we signed up for. You know what I'm saying?
Well said. For you,
And that's one of the things that really just like excites me about this kid, man, is that he wants to get in there with the best. You know, he wants to. You know he's getting ready to go up there and train with Bozy again. I talked to Bozy yesterday, so that's done deal. So he'll be in the gym with, you know, potentially the best boxer in boxing right now, which is Boots. You know, everybody is you know, I believe that Earl and Terrence are both dodging Boots. You know, and for him to want to go in there and train with him and spar with him is you know, exceptional in my book.
yeah, walk us through that, VeShawn. You get this call. How did that invitation happen to go to Philadelphia to work with Boots? And then I'm assuming when it happened, you were aware of Boots.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts when his brother climbs in the ring? You don't have your team there. You don't have your trainer there. What's going on with you?
Man, so well, first I'm gonna bring it back. So Rick asked me, he said, you know Dry Ennis, you know Boots? I said, yeah, I know Dry Ennis. He said, you trying to work with him? I said, just give me the car and I'll make the drive down there. So we ended up doing it. He ended up calling me. I drove the 8 hours down there, and the next day after I woke up, they sparred at 12 in the morning, or 12 in the afternoon. So we get down there. Shoot, I don't know what's going on. You know, I'm like you said, nobody was with me. I was by myself. I had Coach Rick down there. You know, that was the only person I knew down there. But we don't really.
But you didn't know Coach Rick. You just met Coach Rick.
That's what I'm saying.
You had just met Coach Rick.
He ain't even know. He don't know how to fight. None of that. I had to show him my last fight so he can understand my style. Yeah, I went down there and I'm waiting to get in the ring. Dry ended up getting in the ring, a couple other fighters. And he ended up getting out. And then Bo's just like, you know what? Hey, he said, Dry, you go work with Rick's boy. So I'm like, all right, shit, bet. It's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like I said, the first round came in. We both trying to fill each other out for the first minute. He fight. I think he was fighting Southpaw at one point because I'm a majority Southpaw. So he fighting Southpaw. Man, I think it was the first body shot. I said, all right. Now I see how this about to hand out. Okay. So my brain is hit and don't get hit again. Cause he has power. Like he has a name for himself for a reason. Like, he has power. And it was an experience. Like most people that get sent down there that's out of towners, they usually either get put to sleep or they stop or they get off the ring. I stayed in there. You know what I'm saying? It was some shots that was like, damn, you know what I mean? But it was like, nah, you ain't here for that. You ain't drive 8 hours just to, you know what I'm saying? I'll get you the next round. Nah, we here, bro. Until they say, okay, y'all too good. Y'all had enough rounds in together. So I earned their respect. Him and Bozy. Bozy liked me because he said I got heart. And that's one thing you can't teach fighters is to have that heart. So 100% is I can't wait to go back down there. Supposed to go back down there next week. I'll be going down to move into Jersey, and that's an hour away from the gym. So I'll be making that trip every day, Monday through Friday. Go train along with the best and with better fighters.
Okay. One of my favorite trainers that I like his take on boxing, and honestly, when I read his article that on boxing scene, a lot of the stuff he says is what I write about. So I feel like, I have spent 0 days inside of a boxing gym, but just from watching it closely. But I respect his opinion. But he said that Boots Ennis is one of the hardest working fighters in the gym that he's seen. So I'm just wondering, your setup and your background with your team in Dayton, what have you taken away from watching, this guy who's about to be in the world title picture? What's one or two things that you've taken back, brought home to your daily training?
Yeah, his strength and conditioning. Took that for sure, 100%. Took his strength conditioning methods. Is a lot of people they go in, they lift weights like it's football. I can do that. I can't do that for a long period of time. That's boring. His strength and conditions, they're fun. You know what I'm saying? So, at we got our LA Fitness, our Exporter. They got the little sled with weights on it, and they got a turf in there. So I go in there for my strength and conditioning, and I make it fun. I make fun out of it. Another thing that they do is 4-minute rounds. I do 3-minute rounds with ease now because now I just train off of 4-minute rounds.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3-minute rounds are like 2 minutes to me. So that's one thing I like that I love that I took away from them is the 4-minute round method that they got going on, and then the way they train is, man, kid you not, we did this bag drill. We run around the ring, and then they'll tell us a combination, and each one of us go and hit the bag one at a time. And if it's not your turn, you keep running around the ring. We did that for an hour straight.
Damn.
An hour straight, yeah. And after the workout, you ain't think you was doing shit till you get done working out, go back home like, I'm kind of sore. You know what I mean? So I do a lot of our gym here at home is super small.
Right.
It's not big as their gym. So I do as much as I can here, and they work out 2 times a day for just boxing. So
Hey, Mike.
I do that too.
I can't hear
I
you.
train.
Can
I
you
train
check it?
at
Something
LA
happened.
Fitness. They got a bag there, so I go in there, I shadow box, hit the sauna sometimes, because I'm cutting my weight as of right now. Cause I walk around probably like 167, 168. Right now I'm at like 162. So I'm cutting down, like not drastically, but comfortably. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Cause I gotta get down to 147.
Should I go out and
Okay.
come in? No, it's just the whole thing is
I don't
black.
want to hold you guys up all day, so only a couple more questions.
Should
I
I
want
go
to
out
get
and
y'all
come
out
back?
of here. But when can we see? I mean, you said a fight is being put together. Can you tell us where that location might be, or are there any details that you can share?
Shoot. I'm allowed to talk on that, huh? I don't know if you can hear me.
He might be having some audio issues.
Probably.
Can you hear us, Rick?
I was. I can hear you now.
Okay. Can you share?
I missed all that though, man.
He was just
I
walking
missed
us,
all that, man.
he was just walking us through the things that he's picked up from working with Bozy and Boots.
I
and
know,
brought
but I
back
needed
today.
to hear that. I needed to hear that, man.
Okay.
I've been in the gym with Boots and Bozy a few times, and I saw some of the drills that Boots do, and I mean, amazing. Just to see the work ethic that he puts into it, and it's crazy. I didn't know who Boots was until about 8-9 months ago. One of my other guys that I was working with, and they told me that Bozy was probably the best trainer in the country, and I was like, well, let me send Nafir over there. So I sent Nafir Charles over there, and I went over to the gym with him, and then I see this guy, Boots, and I was like, well, who the hell is this guy right here? He looks like a linebacker. And they was like, man, that's Boots Hennis. You don't know who that is? He's one of the best fighters in the game. And I just started building up a relationship with him, because one of my goals is to build relationships with all the trainers, because I know eventually if the trainers are the guys, who's going to have the best fighters. If it's the best trainers, they're going to have the best fighters eventually. I have a relationship with John Davy Jackson,
Okay.
Rob Garcia, both Rob Garcias, Mikey brother Rob, and also the other Rob that used to train with Floyd and Pacquiao and De La Hoya. He's also a friend of mine. So I've been building relationships with the trainers because I want my guys to go and visit the greats. VeShawn, not only will he be going to work with Bozy, but he'll also go visit John Davy Jackson because he may see something that that Bozy didn't see. You know, it's better to have more eyes. I kind of do it the way, you know, I do with my kids. I got 2 babies that play tennis, and they got one main coach. But I told him when he took the job that they were going to see other coaches, you know, and I hope that he go with them so that he can see what the other coaches see. And I want to do the same thing in boxing.
Now, you played tennis in high school, right?
I did. I was pretty good.
Okay. Still sticking with it though. I see with your kids. That's
I got to go to Wimbledon, man. I want to go in the locker room of Wimbledon.
Hey, I like that. I like it. How do you feel? How do you feel all of these guys? And this is, I would imagine, this comes back to your days in your previous career, you know, in the streets, but reading people and getting your instincts, trusting your instincts. How do you feel the boxing guys have been receptive to you coming into their game?
For the most part, you know, I get a sense of respect that probably only somebody like Obama would get. When I walk into the arena, I'll probably take more pictures. If I go, me and Floyd has been together, and I took more pictures than Floyd did. Mayweather. So I have an aura about me. Well, you know that game that I was in. It's a game. It's a game that everybody they claim they dislike, but the way they make me feel is that everybody wish they could have been in it, but they didn't get in it because of the consequences and the detriment that it takes on other people. So they have I mean, why everybody likes Scarface? You know, the movie. You know, it's one of the greatest movies that ever came out. You know, probably sold more at box office. And so when you look at that, you go in people's house and they got the picture of Al Pacino. So they kind of treat me like they would treat Al Pacino if he was me. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha. Let me let you get out of here, but I have to ask, man, because I talk about a lot of TV series and a lot of movies, a lot of entertainment on my channel. This is tying you up, getting into the business, to the music business, your publishing and all of this type stuff. I've read up on some articles on where your opinions and what your thoughts were on the Snowfall series on FX. But are you going to still look into some kind of series for your story?
Well, you know, we budgeted right now for $30 million to do the movie. We're waiting on Reginald Hudlin to finish this big movie that he's doing. He's doing a couple $100 million movie right now, and I believe that as soon as he finishes that, we're gonna start shooting my movie. After the movie comes out, I'm already preparing right now. I'm working on a documentary right now with all the people that I come in contact with or ever came in contact with. I'm interviewing them about their favorite Rick Ross stories, and I plan on turning that into a mini series. You know, Snowfall fiction. You know, I mean, they took some of the stuff, but I think that it's time that a real Black drug story is told so that people can really understand what our life is like, and not just keep having Hollywood sensationalize us, but also what's the word I'm looking for? Where they make us a villain. You know, they make us. So when I sold drugs as a business. And I found out that the same skills that I use to sell drugs, I can use to do anything else that I want to do. Because one of the things I found out,
coffee, right?
Huh?
You can sell hamburgers or coffee, right?
Absolutely. I found out I never failed in life. I've never had a failure in my whole life. You know, I fail, but it wasn't a failure. Including going to prison. You know, some people look at going to prison and they say, well, that was a failure. Well, no. What I found out when I got to prison and I started reading and learning about the mind is that I had already told myself that I was going to be going to prison. So I just fulfilled that I had in my mind. So we just have to be careful what we ask. You know, your mom always said, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. And that's been my life. You know, everything that I ever asked for, I've always gotten it. I've always won. And I'm gonna continue to be a winner, and I want to teach these other young guys, you know, how to win and how to win big. And I'm just so glad that VeShawn is so open to new ideas and willing to grow. VeShawn, give me your social media.
If you guys want to, you guys follow me on Instagram at the.chosen.champ, the chosen champ.
Okay.
You was finna ask me a question too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Very last question was just you out here, scouting talent, looking for guys to add to the roster, and looking for the next Floyds and the next whoever, or the first whoever, but world champions. Perfect world, who would you have play yourself when this movie does happen?
I like the guy Childish Gambino.
Okay.
I like Childish Gambino. I think hardest guy in the world to get in touch with. He's the one person that I haven't been able to get in touch with. I've been trying to find him for 2 years so that I could sit down and talk to him. Yes, I haven't been able to reach that guy. He's a real ghost. But they already told me don't pick nobody. Because one of the things that I did agree. When I got out of prison, I met with the four most powerful guys in Hollywood, and they all made me offers, and I turned them all down. And one of the reasons that I turned their offers down is because they didn't want me to be involved with the movie. Right. And one of the things that they said is that they didn't want me having my brother playing my role and my sister directing the movie and my cousin producing it. And so one of the things that I had agreed to with Reggie and them that I wouldn't try to wage that power. I wouldn't try to tell them who should be playing what roles and things like that there. So I'm gonna stick to my word. But I like Childish Gambino myself. It's gonna be up to them to pick who is gonna be doing what. I'm gonna let the experts do what the experts do.
That's an interesting pick because I wouldn't see him in that way, but
Well, you know what? If somebody would have told me 2 weeks before I started selling drugs, I'm gonna be a drug dealer, I would have laughed so hard at them. Because when I started selling drugs, I never saw cocaine before. Wow. I never smoked weed, had never touched weed. I went from being a square tennis player, to here I am running around with kilos of cocaine.
I hear you. Hey, well, look. Hopefully, I do an audio only podcast that's on different stuff, man. Hopefully, I can get your time to maybe come on and talk about that separate from the boxing thing. But it was a great opportunity to speak with you to learn more about Team Freeway Boxing. Kind of how your innovative thinking that you bring to the table. I want to see what happens with the first 5. Your Fab 5, and where it goes from there. I'm gonna definitely keep an eye on VeShawn Champion. And
hopefully you and VeShawn hook up, man. Go have lunch or something.
Oh yeah, we definitely. I'm gonna be in touch.
Yeah, become a mentor to him. Become a mentor to him.
I will try.
Yeah. Well, he can use your guidance. You've been in this for a while.
I'm not a popular dude out here. But I don't care about that because I stand by what I say. But I just my thinking doesn't seem to resonate with a lot in the community. But hey, I am who I am.
All right, cool. Oh, don't y'all forget, go buy my.
In the first couple of minutes, you said me and you had something in common, so I got to be doing something right. If you understand,
go buy my books. You don't go to Amazon either. Go to my website. Don't go to Amazon because Amazon keep all the money. Jeff Bezos don't want your money. I do.
VeShawn, last words from you, brother.
Just stay ready. Look out for me. You know what I'm saying? And I will be champ here soon.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Hey, I appreciate both of y'all coming through, man.
Appreciate you, Wood. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Take care, fellas.
Peace.
All right. Ricky Ross speaks, needs no introduction and whatnot. Freeway Ricky Ross. I appreciate him coming on today. I appreciated getting a text message to be able to interview him and I was looking forward honestly to talking to Rick Glaser for some of the boxing or some of the more boxing specific talk and whatnot. But I definitely appreciate Ricky Ross's attention to detail. Getting on the road, going out here, connecting and linking up with some of these different trainers. I like that he was honest and said, I don't know a lot about boxing, or I don't know about punch combinations, and I don't know about strength and conditioning. But I think as a good businessman, you obviously get familiar with your product and you take advantage of the relationships that you can tap into to help connect the dots for you. And I think, that's what you're seeing. And then obviously, I didn't really want to get all into his previous life and all of that type of stuff. But you definitely have to look at the skill set, working with people. You got to look at his leadership skills, his instincts. And then, I'm trying to stay separate from what they've shown us on Snowfall with Franklin Saint and what might have really been going on in the early decision making from Freeway Ricky Ross. You heard him just say 2 weeks before. That sounds amazing. But 2 weeks before, 2 weeks before becoming a drug dealer, the man had never seen any controlled substances before. So that's blowing my mind. Appreciate it, DA, man. Thanks for falling through today. Yeah, that blows my mind that what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? Anyway, let me stop this. I was recording that for my podcast. So anyway, interesting, man. I said it before. I'm very concerned about where boxing is right now. The reliance on pay-per-views is not good for the game. So much responsibility to fund everything that we would like to see is being pushed directly onto us. And it's becoming a job to follow boxing. I got all these damn passwords. I got all these subscriptions. I gotta go here to see this fight. I gotta go over here to see that fight. It's too much. With the NFL, whether it's today or tomorrow, I had the Kansas City Chiefs, the hottest team in the league the last 5 to 7 or 8 years or whatever, one of the hottest, with one of the top players in the game. But I got them against the upstart Cincinnati Bengals. I don't have to do nothing I have to do very little to get to that game. And it's going to be a great game. Then on the other side, we got the Rams in San Francisco, the 49ers being one of the top brands in the NFL. I have to do very little to watch that game. It's so convenient to me. Boxing is becoming, even a guy such as myself, all the undercards and the prospects that I watch, the new fighters, the young fighters, even as dedicated as I am to following the game, it's a task for me. And it's only becoming increasingly more difficult to follow. And if I got a partner right now who watches boxing, and he texted me back and said that he wasn't even aware of the Gary Russell Jr. fight and Mark Mexayo fight last week or whatever. He wasn't even aware. Who was part of a boxing podcast, and he wasn't even aware of it. I told him why I was interested in the fights that are happening tonight. A couple of heavyweights in Jeremiah Milton, and then Stephen Big Shot Shaw, who's fighting the main event on ESPN Plus. Nobody cares about this shit. Nobody cares about neither one of those names. But it's on ESPN Plus. I got to do something to watch it. And I do have I got the package deal right now for Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus. But boxing is confusing as hell right now. Then if you tell me I got to get ready to pay some amount of money to watch Tyson Fury and Dillian White, possibly, because of the money that's involved with that 40-something $2 million on the purse bid. So now I might have to pay. Tyson Fury alone is not a pay-per-view fighter for me. I'm not paying $75 just because Tyson Fury's name is the A side in an upcoming fight. It's just not. Tyson Fury against Usyk, because you can tell, because I believe in the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, because of that adds the magnitude or the appeal to that matchup. I'd give you $74 to watch that one. I would. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, I'd pay to see that one. I would. But Tyson Fury against every other heavyweight, especially the rumors that Fury wanted to fight a warm-up guy before facing Usyk. That's what the word was. That's what Eddie Hearn put out there. I'm not paying nothing to see Fury fight some top 20 heavyweight. I'm not. I'm just not. So boxing to me, watching some of these guys, the calendar hasn't really shaped up thus far. We really haven't heard a schedule be rolled out in years past. I remember writing articles talking about what Showtime's first half of the year schedule was. I remember writing articles about what DAZN's first quarter of the year was. I remember writing articles about what Top Rank's first half of the season was like. We don't have that right now. We got a couple. Tyson Fury versus Parker. Joe Parker? Hell no. Nah. And that's the thing, DA. How can I get excited about paying $70 potentially to see Fury and Dillian White, and then I'm going to see the rematch between Joshua and Usyk for free or as part of my DAZN subscription? And this is why I say my thinking on a lot of this stuff, my logic and rationale is not that popular, but that's how can I pay $70 for Dillian White and Fury when I'm gonna pay $19 or $10, depending on how you pay for it, for DAZN, for Joshua and Usyk? So I'm passing on Fury. If I couldn't, I don't even know if I'd go see that at the movie theater for $20. I don't even, and the movie theater probably doesn't even offer that fight because it's not that big of a fight. But yeah, boxing, in my opinion, is just in a very shaky place. We got a couple of big women's fights that have been made, but then you got a lot of people that don't even like the women's fights, and that's in Serrano and Taylor being finalized. We're working our way towards Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall. They still have some business to clean up before they lock horns and whatnot. But that's happening. On the men's side, everything is up in the air. Most of the big fights that we want to see, it's no movement. We know we're getting Joshua and Usyk because they had a rematch. There is no clear-cut path towards Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. I'm going to see Terrence Crawford again. The back and forth that's going on right now for with Kambosos, whether it's Ryan Garcia or whether it's Devin Haney or whether it's Vasily Lomachenko or whether it's Tank Davis, it's all up in the air. And we're sitting here as fans like we just want to know what the damn fight is going to be. Pick one of them. Yeah, I feel you. I think all boxing platforms should go toward the DAZN formula, but I heard they are looking at doing pay-per-view as well. That's true. But you're right. I'm totally with you. I don't know how to get it done, but if you looking at it how you're looking at it, which is what I was talking to myself the other day, especially the way that PBC and Fox Sports and Showtime are doing what they're doing with everything, with Thurman and Barrios being on pay-per-view. It only makes sense to me to find some way to let us pay for this stuff in installments, a subscription, or let me pay up front for the year and you put the schedule together. And that's how we do it. But you can't sit here. It's no concern. It's no shame. It's nothing in sitting here every month or every couple of weeks rolling out a $75 fight for a matchup that we didn't even ask for. We got Canelo and Charlo possibly happening, $75 or $80. I would watch that fight. I would buy that fight. I did not buy Canelo and Caleb Plant. I already knew who was going to win that fight. I got a good idea who's going to win Canelo and Charlo, but I had called for that fight in the past, and it may finally come to fruition. I'll pay for that one. I'll check that one out. I got certain things that I would want to see in that matchup. But Thurman and Barrios, and then in the co-main, Carbajal and Leo Santa Cruz. I don't care about that fight. I got other shit to go do. That same night, I gotta go over. I have the option to go over to fight.tv and pay $50 or whatever it's gonna be to see Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams and Clarissa Shields and Eva Kozine for 50. Nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. In a couple of hours, I'm going to punch a couple of buttons on my TV to watch whether it's the AFC Championship or the NFC Championship today. That's all I got to do to watch a great game and see awesome athletes doing phenomenal stuff and great drama and brutality and effort and competitive competition. I can see all of that. And I just pressed two buttons and I'm good for 3 hours. Boxing, it's too much. It's too much. Anyway, let me get on off here. I appreciate everybody anybody that checked in and who comes along afterwards and checks out this interview. I had a ball talking to Ricky Ross and this kid in my own hometown, VeShawn Champion. To start boxing at 19, the dude is 20. He's 23 now. To start boxing 4 years ago, and to travel 4 amateur fights, to travel over to the city of brotherly love, to drive 8 hours and work out with and spar a dude like Jerron Boots Ennis. Yes, VeShawn Champion has a lot of balls, a lot of resolve and self belief, and I hope that bodes well for the young man. Pretty good stuff. So that I do have to come back at 1:15. I'm gonna be talking to a middleweight out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 0-0, no fights just yet, but a 13-time national champion, 6'3", middleweight out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Daniel Iceman Blancas. He signed with Tim Van Nieuwhouse. Van Nieuwhouse was a part of Split T Management, who's made a lot of noise in the last several years. Had they represent Charles Conwell was with them. He may still be with them. His brother is with them. His name's Isaiah Steen. Teofimo Lopez is one of their guys. Stephen Shaw, who fights tonight on ESPN Plus, he might be one of their guys too. So Van Nieuwhouse has a lot of experience, has left off from Split T Management, has about 4 or 5 fighters that he's working with now. And Daniel Blancas is one of those guys. And we get to know him and see when he's going to get into action. I'm intrigued, 6'3", middleweight. That's not all that common. But anyway, let me get on out of here. I'm like, why can I not hear that? That's loud as hell. Hey, thanks for rocking with me. Appreciate DA checking in with me. I know he's been a little quiet on I know why my mic was not working now. I just figured it out. But anyway, people were able to hear what they were saying. I didn't. Anyway, let me get on out of here. I'll be back on at 1:15 Eastern time with Daniel Iceman Blancas out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We get on out of here. Trying to play with some of these buttons real quick. I'm a little rusty. Yeah, let me get on off of here. See you in an hour and a half or so.